A Tooth for a Tooth, Chapter 1. At 3:30 in the morning, Xu Qing Nuo was still awake. Ma Yao, who was lying next to him, exhaled deeply. Today was the 15th. Xu Qing Nuo left the curtains open, and the bright moonlight spilled into the room, shining on Ma Yao's face and coating his long curled eyelashes with a light gold powder. His mouth was slightly ajar, and the whole person looked calm and harmless. Without the energetic aura from the day, now he seemed a few years younger. His appearance reminded Xu Qing Nuo of the first time they met in his freshman year. It was a sunny afternoon. After eating lunch in the cafeteria, he remembered leaving the book in the library. Going back, he unexpectedly saw Ma Yao lying on the table, sleeping soundly in the empty library. Golden floating light enveloped his body, the refreshing autumn breeze blew through, slightly moving his hair and the book's pages on the desk. That image was like a movie still, so beautiful that he was reluctant to blink. The sudden ringing of the bell brought Xu Qing Nuo back to his senses, and it also woke up Ma Yao. He sat up abruptly and stared around blankly with a dazed face from not knowing where he was. When he saw Xu Qing Nuo standing at the door, his expression remained blank. After a while, his eyes lit up. He blinked twice, gave Xu Qing a brilliant smile, and raised his hand to shake it. Hi. Xu Qing Nuo didn't know whether he was bewitched by his smile or hypnotized by his eyes. He involuntarily shook his hand. Hey, this was how the 18-year-old Xu Qing Nuo and the 20-year-old Ma Yao first met. Later, Ma Yao said he fell in love with Xu Qing Nuo at first sight, but, in fact, Xu Qing Nuo did so as well. When they met for the first time, they felt incredibly attracted to each other and quickly got acquainted with each other. After learning they were the same, they soon got together. They were serious about their relationship, and both came out after graduating from college. Ma Yao's parents died early, so there was no need to tell anyone. He had only a young brother, Ma Yuan, who was the same age as Xu Qing Nuo. Ma Yuan was rebellious and unruly since he was a child, and Ma Yao was worried he would have a poor school performance. During middle school, he often sternly taught him not to do this and that, with an attitude of eldest brother is like a father, which made Ma Yuan very impatient. The relationship between the two brothers was not very close. Instead, Ma Yuan was more friendly with the easygoing Xu Qing Nuo. Compared with Ma Yao, Xu Qing Nuo's road to coming out was much harder. His father was a calligrapher, and his mother was a middle school teacher. They were so-called intellectuals with traditional thinking. They never thought that their only child, a good child, would be with a man. They first tried to influence Xu Qing Nuo with affection and reason, hoping to change the evil and return to righteousness. Later, when they saw that it didn't work, they locked Xu Qing Nuo at home and planned to forcibly separate him from Ma Yao. Xu Qing Nuo reluctantly staged a hunger strike, betting that his parents would eventually feel soft. While they no longer objected to him being together with Ma Yao, they now ignored him, pretending that they never had him as a son. To be with Ma Yao, Xu Qing Nuo gave up the family that loved him, abandoned his friends, and left his hometown to move to the city where the two went to university together. He occasionally felt sad and guilty, but he never regretted it. He loved Ma Yao. After 7 years, Ma Yao became well-known in the advertising industry. He was already a manager, and he also made a lot of money in stocks and investments. While writing web novels, Xu Qing Nuo also opened a bookstore, but neither the bookstore business nor the novels he wrote were very good. His two incomes combined could not be compared to Ma Yao's earnings. Xu Qing Nuo has never been a very ambitious person. His wish was very simple: have a home and a person to love, do what he liked every day, and make just enough money to be comfortable. He could be easily satisfied. Xu Qing Nuo originally thought that such a dull and happy life would last forever. After spending the 7th anniversary with Ma Yao, Ma Yuan told him, "Be careful, remember to tickle my brother often." He took it as a joke and smiled. Unexpectedly, this became a confession. Ma Yao cheated. The author has something to say. This is a short story. It will end soon. A Tooth for a Tooth, Chapter 2. Xu Qing Nuo and Ma Yao have been together for 7 years, and their relationship has been very good, but they would also have quarrels, cold wars, and awkward times like any other couple. 2 months ago, when they had a big fight over a trivial matter, Ma Yao slammed the door and left without returning all night. The next day, Ma Yao gave in first, and the two reconciled. Since then, no matter how big or small, Ma Yao tried to accommodate Xu Qing Nuo. He said, "Quarrels hurt feelings. I won't quarrel with you anymore. We will have a good time." Xu Qing Nuo was very touched. He deeply reflected on himself and became more empathetic, thinking of also putting Ma Yao first. In novels and TV, when a man cheats on his wife, he often buys a lot of gifts for her or becomes gentler to compensate the other party who is kept in the dark. When Xu Qing Nuo wrote his novels, he also wrote similar passages. Later, after investigating the truth of Ma Yao's infidelity and remembering how obedient he had been to him at the time, he realized what a big fool he had been. Xu Qing Nuo was not a stupid person, he just trusted Ma Yao too much. He only realized something was wrong because of a pair of underwear. Ma Yao was usually busy at work, and Xu Qing Nuo bought all their daily necessities. This was something Xu Qing Nuo enjoyed very much. Every time he bought underwear for Ma Yao, he would imagine his sexy and sultry look when he put them on or took them off. So when a pair of underwear that he didn't recognize as belonging to Ma Yao appeared in the washing machine, he immediately became alert. He held back and did not immediately question Ma Yao. He began to observe quietly, and as a result, he found many clues that shocked him. Ma Yao also had 2 extra pairs of socks that he didn't recognize. He would occasionally avoid him and go to the balcony to talk on the phone, saying it was official business. Ma Yao's phone bill suddenly went up a lot last month. Ellipsis. What made Xu Qing Nuo most suspicious was that although their frequency did not change, it was still 3 or 4 times a week. Ma Yao was obviously not as obsessed with his body as in the past. Xu Qing Nuo became very entangled. On the one hand, he comforted himself, no matter how strong and passionate their relationship, he and Ma Yao were no longer hairy boys. Being 2 old husbands, Ma Yao's fading sparks were normal, and it was also normal for their life to become monotone. So don't be suspicious like a jealous woman. On the other hand, he couldn't control his thoughts and constant nightmares at night, dreaming of Ma Yao entangled with other naked men, just like a GV. He was going crazy. He wanted to grab Ma Yao by the throat and ask him fiercely, "You bastard, did you mess around outside? Did you?" But it wouldn't work. Xu Qing Nuo understood Ma Yao very well. He was a person who felt superior and never wronged himself. If he no longer loved him, he would tell him directly because he couldn't bear to hurt him out of guilt. That was not his style. Ma Yao still loved him, so he would deny that he cheated no matter how messed up the situation. So now Xu Qing Nuo was confused again, should he believe him? Although he was careless in his daily life, he had his own set of principles. He never tolerated ambiguity and vagueness, and there was no grain in his eyes. He gave his loyalty and trust to Ma Yao, and he couldn't stand lies and betrayal. He couldn't open one eye and close the other, and he couldn't continue to be suspicious day after day. Without getting a real answer, sooner or later he would torture himself into madness. To make himself feel better, Xu Qing Nuo started investigating. He only really did one thing, checking Ma Yao's bank card transactions and mobile phone call records. Very vulgar and just what a woman would do, right? Xu Qing Nuo despised his actions, but this was the simplest and most effective method. He was also a man. He understood that men had inexplicable self-confidence when they lied. They felt they had a clever way of covering up and would not be easily seen through. With this mentality, they would conveniently ignore many obvious traces. Ma Yao used the same number for work and private calls, and many people called him every day. Except for Xu Qing Nuo himself, he found no suspicious people who would frequently call him in that list of call records. There were no big problems with the bank card transactions either. Although Ma Yao bought some things in the mall that were unfamiliar to him, Xu Qing Nuo knew that those could be gifts to his boss or friends. In the past 6 months, except for a few business trips, Ma Yao had no records of opening a hotel room by swiping his card. Xu Qing Nuo breathed a sigh of relief and laughed secretly that he might have thought too much. He was about to destroy the corpse before Ma Yao went home when he suddenly thought of something. His eyes widened suddenly, and he quickly unfolded the 2 paper slips, carefully looking at the records of the day he and Ma Yao quarreled 2 months ago. He clearly remembered that before they fought that day, Ma Yao complained that he wanted to buy him a cake, but he didn't have enough cash on him, and the nearby ATM broke down, so couldn't get the money. After reconciliation the next day, he pretended to be fierce and asked Ma Yao where he stayed the night before. Ma Yao said that he slept in a room at the Times Hotel. Now that he thought about it, Xu Qing Nuo realized that Ma Yao's expression and eyes were not quite right at the time. As if he had done something wrong, his face was forcefully calm, his eyes flickered, and he didn't dare to look at him. He had no cash on him. He said he stayed at the Times Hotel. There was no record of his spending when booking a room that day. Obviously, Ma Yao lied to Xu Qing Nuo. Xu Qing Nuo's instinct was not wrong, he really cheated. It was the night they quarreled. Moreover, that person was someone Ma Yao was very familiar with. A tooth for a tooth. Chapter 3. Xu Qing Nuo carefully checked all the men around Ma Yao, including his brother, Ma Yuan. In the end, his attention fell on Bai Fang. Bai Fang was a friend of a friend that Ma Yao met last year. He was very handsome, tall and thin, a well-known model. He has been in the fashion circles for many years, and he had good taste and broad knowledge. Ma Yao looked mature and stable, but his heart was the same as in college. He was still a sullen master, liked freshness and excitement, and advocated a quality and luxurious lifestyle. When he and Bai Fang first met, they talked about everything, from famous car names, cigarettes, and wines, to stock funds. Xu Qing Nuo had no affection for Bai Fang, he always felt this man was too pretending. He and Ma Yao have been together for so many years, and his most uncomfortable traits were his high self-esteem and easy self-importance. He always felt that he was very capable and was superior to others. After Ma Yao and Bai Fang met, this stinking problem got worse. Then Xu Qing Nuo discovered that Bai Fang was not so innocent about Ma Yao, and he dared to tease Ma Yao in front of him. He complained about it to Ma Yao, but Ma Yao said, he likes to joke with everyone. He is in the entertainment circle. It is normal for him to have such an open personality. Don't think too much, we're just ordinary friends. Xu Qing Nuo was so angry that he sneered and said, he is in the entertainment industry, you are not. He loves to flirt with people and move his hands and feet and you enjoy it. Are you still called a normal friend? Okay. I'm also looking for a friend in the entertainment industry. Although Ma Yao liked to enjoy some harmless ambiguity, it was a joke, and he knew what was more important in his life. He didn't have any ideas about Bai Fang. It was not worth irritating Xu Qing Nuo, so slowly, he became estranged from Bai Fang. Bai Fang was angry, and he simply confessed to him, hoping that he would kick Xu Qing Nuo and stay with him directly. He was contemptuous of Xu Qing Nuo in his words. Ma Yao also became angry, and from then on he avoided Bai Fang even more and was reluctant to interact with him. Bai Fang was an evildoer, and Xu Qing Nuo was especially uncomfortable seeing his seductive eyes. Ma Yao finally cut off contact with him and said, I can't control who he wants to be friends with. Xu Qing Nuo was extremely happy. It was a pity that his happiness didn't last long. 6 months ago, the company appointed Bai Fang to do a clothing advertisement for the Ma Yao company coffee brand. Because of work, Bai Fang and Ma Yao started to meet frequently again. From Ma Yao's call records, Xu Qing Nuo found that they had made phone calls once or twice a week for the past 2 months. Was Ma Yao's cheating object Bai Fang? Xu Qing Nuo felt that he was the most suspicious, but he was not 100% sure. In fact, he still had doubts in his heart. He hoped he thought too much, and Ma Yao did not cheat. His body and heart still belonged to him alone. He tried to relax a little bit, overseeing the bookstore and writing articles daily as usual, so that Ma Yao would not notice the slightest strangeness. However, when Ma Yao begged him for love at night, when he thought he might have hugged others, kissed others, and entered other people's bodies, Xu Qing Nuo couldn't stand it, and he couldn't help but resist his touch. He felt sick and dirty. His reaction was so strong that Ma Yao felt it. He turned on the bedside lamp, frowned, and asked him, "What's wrong with you, rejecting my touch these days? Are you physically uncomfortable, or am I upsetting you again?" His eyes were full of tension and worry. Xu Qing Nuo looked at him, and his mood became more complicated. Without looking away, he said lightly, "I'm a little tired lately, I'm not in the mood." Ma Yao thought he was not feeling well, so he didn't force him. He simply solved it for the two of them, took a shower together, and hugged him to sleep. Ma Yao slept soundly, but Xu Qing Nuo couldn't sleep until 3:30 at night, staring in a daze at his sleeping face under the moonlight. During the last 7 years, all the past events, both beautiful and happy, and sad and painful, were like a film footage, appearing in his mind frame by frame. He was sure that his love for Ma Yao had never faded. He didn't want to lose him or make the relationship between the two of them embarrassing, but he couldn't persuade himself to swallow all the doubts and pretend he didn't know anything. His heart was at a loss, and he didn't know what to do. Ma Yao woke up suddenly and rubbed his eyes, lifting the bangs that covered his left eye with his right hand, and whispered, "Why aren't you asleep?" In the quiet late night, his voice and eyes were extremely gentle. Xu Qing Nuo felt sour in his heart. "Baby, did you sleep too much during the day, so you can't fall asleep now? You always turn day and night upside down, just switch to being an owl," said Ma Yao while encircling his waist with his arm and hugging him. He held him into his arms, pressed his lips to the center of his eyebrows with a soft kiss, and said jokingly, "Shall Big Brother sing a lullaby to make you fall asleep?" He really did, and while singing, his eyelids gradually drooped down, and he fell asleep again. Xu Qing Nuo leaned on his chest, listened to his steady and powerful heartbeat, felt his hot breath and body temperature, and sighed quietly. He thought to himself, maybe he was really thinking too much. They were so in love with each other, how could Ma Yao let him down? No matter how many doubts he had in his heart, he still chose to believe in Ma Yao again. Xu Qing Nuo thought that his relationship with Ma Yao would become as close and natural as before as long as he stopped investigating. The next day, in the afternoon, he saw Ma Yao's cheating object with his own eyes. He never thought the man turned out to be his best friend, Lin Xiaowen. A Tooth for a Tooth, Chapter 4. Xu Qing Nuo had known Lin Xiaowen since his first year of junior high school. The two used to be classmates. Xu Qing Nuo had excellent grades and good calligraphy skills. As soon as school started, he got appointed as a publicity committee member. He was easygoing and well-mannered, was good-looking, and was very popular in his class. Both boys and girls loved to spend time with him. On the other hand, Lin Xiaowen's family background was poor. Due to malnutrition, he was thin, his face and body were always dirty, giving him the look of a beggar, and he never liked to talk. Neither his teachers nor his classmates liked him. Xu Qing Nuo and Lin Xiaowen sat in the front and back seats for a year without interacting with each other. One day, Xu Qing Nuo accidentally saw Lin Xiaowen's doodles in his art book and was amazed. "Lin Xiaowen, do you know how to paint?" Lin Xiaowen scratched his head shyly. "Well, I learned it in elementary school." "You paint really well." Xu Qing Nuo picked up his art book, thought for a while, and said, "Are you interested in publishing Blackboard newspapers with me?" At that time, publishing Blackboard newspapers was like helping teachers correct homework and test papers. Students considered it a major honor. Lin Xiaowen was a little flattered. "Can I? Your painting is so good, of course, you can." Just like that, Lin Xiaowen started to help Xu Qing Nuo. The two of them painted and wrote together. They had a tacit understanding and won many awards in various Blackboard newspaper competitions. The school principal also praised their class during the weekly school assembly. The class teacher was so happy that he was grinning from ear to ear. He liked Xu Qing Nuo even more and started seeing Lin Xiaowen in a different light. With Xu Qing Nuo's help, Lin Xiaowen's performance across several subjects drastically improved, and he also became more confident and cheerful. After entering high school, his height suddenly jumped from 1.65 meters to 1.75 meters. In addition, his father left to work at sea and made a lot of money, so as a result, his family's financial situation has also gradually improved. Over time, his mental outlook began to change. The withdrawn child has become a charming and handsome boy. Because of his art studies combined with being ostracized as a child, Lin Xiaowen had spent a lot of time alone. He used to be gloomy, mean, somewhat arrogant, and unwilling to deal with people he didn't like. He didn't even give face to the girls who were pursuing him. That's why Lin Xiaowen had very few buddies. Most of his contacts were wine and meat friends, and Xu Qing Nuo was his only real friend. He felt gratitude and admiration for Xu Qing Nuo and was quite dependent on him. He never pretended in front of him. He would cry and bend when in a bad mood and whine and act coquettishly when in a good mood. Xu Qing Nuo was an only child and had no cousins. In his eyes, Lin Xiaowen was not only a friend but also a younger brother. Many years have passed from the age of 12 until now, and their relationship has always been good. Occasionally, they would be a bit awkward around each other, but no one would take it to heart. A quick call the next day would ease the atmosphere, and they would get together again to eat, drink, and have fun. Xu Qing Nuo thought about the impermanence of life. Even if he broke up with Ma Yao, he never thought his friendship with Lin Xiaowen would ever change. He thought they would be friends for life. He never thought that Lin Xiaowen would betray him with Ma Yao. He learned the truth by accident. The week after Xu Qing Nuo had suspected Ma Yao of cheating, he thought Ma Yao was away on a business trip again. He was upset and didn't want to stay at home alone, so he went to Lin Xiaowen's house. Lin Xiaowen was taking a shower. Xu Qing Nuo was standing upside down leaning against the wall, thinking whether to share his doubts about Ma Yao with him. He glanced casually and saw something shiny under the bed. He remembered losing a platinum ring that Ma Yao had given him at Lin Xiaowen's house. He thought it was that ring, so he happily lay on the ground and reached out to grab it. But when he took it out, he was stunned. It was not his ring, but a cufflink belonging to Ma Yao. For Ma Yao's birthday last year, he had specially asked someone to customize the suit to be given as a gift. He had personally designed the cufflink style with the initials of Ma Yao's name engraved on the side. He would never be wrong about this. While Lin Xiaowen was still in the bathroom, Xu Qing Nuo ran home and opened the closet to check Ma Yao's suit. Sure enough, one cufflink was missing. Xu Qing Nuo seemed to fall into an ice cave, and he felt chills all over his body. A tooth for a tooth. Chapter 5. I'm a good friend, I'm a good buddy, answer the phone quickly. The special ringtone recorded by Lin Xiaowen kept ringing in the silent room. Xu Qing Nuo glanced at the phone on the coffee table and smiled coldly. He felt weak, was lying on the sofa, covering his face with his hands, and 2 lines of tears were streaming down from the corners of his eyes. He had heard the saying about fire prevention, theft prevention, and protection against besties, but he never thought he should also guard against his best friend. Because of Xu Qing Nuo, Ma Yao and Lin Xiaowen met often. Their relationship was alright, but they were not overly familiar with each other. In fact, they still looked unpleasantly at each other. Ma Yao felt that Lin Xiaowen was a self-righteous mother hen, and Lin Xiaowen said that Ma Yao's machismo was too serious, and he regarded himself as the emperor. Xu Qing Nuo couldn't understand how these two people got together. He didn't even understand when they hooked up. Xu Qing Nuo couldn't sleep well for the past few days. After suddenly realizing the truth, he was shocked, sad, and very tired. Lin Xiaowen's smiling voice pretending to be arrogant still echoed in the room, and he fell into a deep sleep. At some point, Xu Qing Nuo was shaken awake. Qing Nuo, baby, wake up. Qing Nuo, are you okay? Xu Qing Nuo opened his eyes in a daze and met 2 worried faces looking down at him, Ma Yao and Lin Xiaowen. He thought it was ridiculous and couldn't help laughing at the absurdity of it. You're still laughing. You left my house suddenly, never answered the phone, and didn't reply when I knocked on the door. I thought something happened to you. I almost died of anxiety, you know, said Lin Xiaowen with clenched teeth and red eyes. Xu Qing Nuo was dumbstruck. Ma Yao held his right hand, and his expression was still extremely worried. "Baby, what's the matter with you? Are you uncomfortable?" "Baby." Xu Qing Nuo smiled again. He could still speak without changing his face while standing in front of Lin Xiaowen. Lin Xiaowen was also amazing. His face didn't change either. His eyes were still on him as if Ma Yao were really just his friend's boyfriend, and he had nothing to do with him. If it weren't for the cufflinks that were pinched tightly in the palm of his left hand, causing pain in the palm, Xu Qing Nuo would be deceived by these two men, thinking that everything was just his imagination. At that moment of extreme anger, he wanted to roar, wanted to scream, and wanted to tell this pair of scum men to get out immediately and never show up in front of him again. Xu Qing Nuo swallowed his horrible rage abruptly, pretending to be innocent, and told Ma Yao and Lin Xiaowen, "I'm fine, I was just too sleepy, so I got a good night's sleep." "What are you guys nervous about? Are you really alright?" Ma Yao was a little skeptical. "I'm fine." Xu Qing Nuo smiled at him. Ma Yao let out a long sigh of relief and ruthlessly squeezed his cheek. "You bastard, you scared me to death." Xu Qing Nuo deliberately said, "Aren't you on a business trip? Why are you at home?" "Xiao Wen told me that something was not right with you. I couldn't reach you, so I hurried back." Although the city he traveled to for business was not far from N City, Xu Qing Nuo knew that it would take at least 2 hours to drive back on the highway. Looking at Ma Yao's tired and worn face, he was in a complicated mood. Then Lin Xiaowen said with a big yawn, "Xu Qing Nuo, you're fine, good, don't scare us like that next time." "Sorry, I worried you." Xu Qing Nuo admired his own acting skills immensely. He could even apologize to him calmly. "I'm sleepy, I'm going home." Xu Qing Nuo shook away Ma Yao, who was still clutching his hand. "Help me send the guest off." This was something he used to say to Ma Yao. Every time Lin Xiaowen came over for a meal, Xu Qing Nuo was either washing the dishes or mopping the floor when he was leaving. He delegated the task of sending him off to Ma Yao. He wanted to let them get along a bit more, so their relationship could become somewhat more cordial, and he wouldn't have to get caught between them. Now that he thought about it, he was the biggest idiot in the universe. A Tooth for a Tooth, Chapter 6. Ma Yao had interrupted his business trip, so after making sure Xu Qing Nuo was okay, he rested for one night and then rushed back early the next morning. Before leaving, he kissed Xu Qing Nuo's forehead and whispered, "Baby, I'm leaving." Xu Qing Nuo pretended to be asleep, grumbled, and rolled to the other side. "You're no fun." Ma Yao smiled helplessly, patted his raised buttocks, then put on his clothes and left. When he heard the sound of the closing door, Xu Qing Nuo opened his eyes and felt empty in his heart. How can Ma Yao treat him so well while cheating? He originally thought that he would break up with Ma Yao right away and leave without looking back, but he couldn't help making excuses for him deep in his heart. Men are lower body animals, so maybe he was drunk or didn't have enough self-control at the time. After all, he still couldn't let go of Ma Yao. He couldn't let go of this relationship for which he sacrificed both his youth and his family. However, he couldn't pretend that nothing happened and couldn't treat Ma Yao and Lin Xiaowen like before. Their betrayal was like a huge thorn deeply piercing his heart. During the days Ma Yao was away on business, he hung a closed sign on the store's entrance door, stopped writing, stayed indoors, and ignored Lin Xiaowen. He stayed at home alone, trapped between forgiveness and breakup. He split into two selves, both pulling him in opposite directions. He felt so painful and entangled that his body was about to explode. It was not so much Ma Yao's betrayal, but the reason for it. Did he fall in love with Lin Xiaowen? Regardless of the reasons, Ma Yao betrayed him, after all. He wouldn't be better off knowing why. Xu Qing Nuo understood this, but he was not a fool. He did something very shameless. He placed a listening device under Lin Xiaowen's bed. He secretly decided that if it was just an accident and Ma Yao and Lin Xiaowen would have nothing to do with each other in the future, he would ignore it all. If Ma Yao continued to entangle Lin Xiaowen, then he would learn why they betrayed him, and he would completely give up. This was a gamble. Regardless of the result, he had to bet. Xu Qing Nuo never expected that the day Ma Yao came back from his business trip, the dust would settle, and there would be an outcome. Ma Yao had called him the night before saying, "I'll be back tomorrow night. Do you want me to pick you up?" Xu Qing Nuo asked casually. Ma Yao said, "No need, you haven't been well recently. Wait for me at home." Xu Qing Nuo didn't think too much. Who knew that at 10 a.m. he would hear his voice from the listening device in Lin Xiaowen's house? There was some rustling noise, and his voice seemed a little distorted, but Xu Qing Nuo would never fail to recognize it. Everything he heard next made him extremely desperate. "I'm exhausted," Ma Yao complained to Lin Xiaowen. Lin Xiaowen giggled. "Then you still dare to come here, can you still do it?" "I'll let you know if I can do it." Ma Yao pushed Lin Xiaowen down on the bed. Suddenly, the heavy bed made an exaggerated creaking sound. Neither of them spoke anymore. Their breathing was getting heavier and they seemed to be kissing. Then came the rustling sound of undressing, and Lin Xiaowen's giggling with a tickling voice. And then the sound of pounding flesh, moaning, gasping, growling, crying. Finally, it fell silent. Being familiar with Ma Yao and Lin Xiaowen, Xu Qing Nuo could imagine them entangled just by listening to the sounds. His whole body was trembling, his tears were streaming down his face, his teeth were biting through his lower lip, which was constantly bleeding, but he didn't care. He wanted to take off the headset countless times, but he forced himself to listen to the entire erotic show. When he heard Ma Yao's familiar sigh of satisfaction, he finally couldn't resist and violently threw up in the trash can. When he finished vomiting, as expected, he heard them talking about him. "Hey, I accidentally squeezed you dry. How can you explain to Qing Nuo when you go back at night?" Lin Xiaowen asked in a joking voice. Ma Yao was silent for a while, and said, "It's okay, Qing Nuo has been in poor health recently, so he won't let me touch him at all." Lin Xiaowen was also silent for a while, and said quietly, "Are you saying that we're both male dogs?" Ma Yao didn't speak. "Sometimes I feel so sorry for Xu Qing Nuo." Ma Yao interrupted Lin Xiaowen a little annoyed. "Okay, we just take what we need physically, but I will always love Qing Nuo." Lin Xiaowen said cowardly, "I'm so afraid that Qing Nuo will find out. He is my only friend. I don't want to lose him, and I don't want him to be sad." Quote. Ma Yao snapped open the lighter, lit a cigarette, and said coldly, "Then don't let him find out." Lin Xiaowen's tone has also become cold. "Ma Yao, I came to you because I was alone and I felt empty. What about you? You have Qing Nuo, you obviously love him, why betray him?" He was speaking as if he were Xu Qing Nuo's best friend. Ma Yao replied in a daze, "I don't know what demon I have. Maybe I have been together with Qing Nuo for too long and have lost the sense of novelty. I always feel that my desires can't be satisfied." The two didn't speak again. After a while, there was another sound of rustling and dressing. Just when Xu Qing Nuo thought that this inhuman torture was about to end, Lin Xiaowen spoke again, with a soft voice, with a little eager anticipation, "Hey, are you still coming to see me?" Ma Yao was silent for a long time, and then said quietly, "In a few days." Xu Qing Nuo's tears have already dried up.